It's October, guys. Finally, the year that seemed like it would never end is almost over. And if what we've seen in 2020 so far is any indication of what's to come, this year is gonna go down swinging. In the midst of all that, here I am to talk about some more internet bullshit regarding pop culture and entertainment. Because that's what I like to do with my spare time. So, here we are today. Gotta talk about The Guardian and how their latest video about how anime gets blackness wrong and how fans are fixing it is getting ratioed into oblivion. The amount of inaccuracies and overall smooth brainness in this video, I honestly don't get how these people keep finding work. Alright, Guardian, take it away.
There's just something about it. Dragon Ball Z to me is like the gateway to manga and anime.
But this is also Dragon Ball Z.
Not even 30 seconds into the video, and we're already on some powerful stupid. Just because something has a stereotype or something that looks like a stereotype doesn't automatically mean it's anti-black. And of course they went to Mr. Popo, because why wouldn't they? This was always a hot button topic. Hell, I have a friend from childhood who said her mom made her stop watching Dragon Ball Z and said that she's not allowed to watch things that have blackface in it. I can see how that line would be drawn. However, once you have the context needed to examine characters like Mr. Popo and Jinx, you can see that they're far from depictions of black people. Mr. Popo, looking at his garb and the flying carpet that he rides, is obviously a genie, or a reference to genies, or djinn, however you want to say it. However, that won't stop smooth brains like these guys from making the connection to minstrel shows. Idiots like you are why they recolored Mr. Popo and Jinx in recent redos of these old shows.
One of my favorite anime shows is Durarara, but the Black Russian is a problem. For the love of God, redraw him.
Okay, so you're not gonna actually say how he's a problem, you're just gonna say, oh, he's a problem, redraw him. Help us make the connection. Don't just say X is a thing, fix it, and then move on.
And even One Punch Man has Black Luster, who aka Super Alloy Darkshine.
I haven't kept up with One Punch Man, so I haven't made it to this character yet. It is a little awkward. I'm not gonna say that's racist. It's a little tone deaf maybe, but I wouldn't necessarily call that racist. Is he like a walking stereotype in other ways?
And it's funny because I was getting into the show and I was like, you know, I just said, okay, we're gonna ignore that episode. But unfortunately, that's something that black folks again and again have to do. If we want to be fans of something and we don't want to cancel the entire genre, we have to pick and choose our fight.
Well, yes, but that's everything. And if your goal is to find all these instances of things like racism or sexism or anything of this nature, then you're going to be very, very busy.
But why does anime get blackness so badly wrong? To try and understand what's going on here, especially with a lot of the older shows, we need to think about this in context.
We're finally going to stop looking at things and just assuming everything about them on face value. Thank you, Lord.
They're looking at us through the lens of American media, American television. There were no images of black people in animation outside of Disney and Warner Brothers animation in the 40s and 50s, and those images of us were very racist. I would direct your attention to the Jungle Book.
These references range from the grossly offensive to the unhelpfully reductive.
That's a technical foul. No, they're not about to shit on Cowboy Bebop. Oh my god. Guardian, you have officially reached peak 2020.
Coffee from Cowboy Bebop. She's a blaxploitation character. She's basically Foxy Brown, but on Mars.
Or she could also be, I don't know, the character she's fucking named after. Why would you see the inclusion of a blaxploitation character in an episode that pays homage to blaxploitation, in a show that pays homage to all types of Western media, as a problem? I'm not going to get too deep into it here because there are videos that do it at far greater depth and much better than I could, but please search for Cowboy Bebop Western influence on YouTube and embiggen your brain, bitch.
This isn't a case of ignorance. There's nowhere on the planet where people haven't seen a black person.
You can't just say it's like a thing without agency. It's not just like, oh, well, it was an accident happened. It's like a conscious choice that people make.
You really think that all these freaking anime artists and writers are thinking, yeah, we gonna make this bomb-ass story. We gonna have these characters with all these powers. It's gonna be these gripping stories. Oh, but no anime would be complete without shitting on the darkies. I hate this world and everything in it.
When we argue about racism in anime, people are like, well, it's Japan, it's not here, it's not the same thing. Yes. And what they don't realize is on a global scale, it is the same thing because it's all over the world.
Wrong.
I'm sorry?
On the board. Wrong. Wrong.
Anti-Blackness being a thing all over the world doesn't mean that everything you perceive as anti-Blackness is actually anti-Blackness. There comes a point where you are so entrenched in your own worldview and your own perception that you can't accurately look at anything else and tell what it is.
And it's not just anime shows themselves that are problematic.
A large amount of anime fans, I'm not saying all of them, but like it is a lot of them out there, hate when other people who don't look like them come into the fandom.
I think where I see it the most is from my friends who cosplay. They'll get told, you can't cosplay that character because you're black.
Is there a part of the fandom that engages in racism to troll and be assholes? Yes. Does that make up the majority of the fandoms? Absolutely not. Not from anything I've seen. Most of these cosplay pages get waves and waves of support. So much so that any racism or negativity that they could be getting from this post is instantly drowned out. There have been times where I went to try and find the racist comments and I couldn't because they were buried in replies that were telling them to go suck a dick.
I've been called slurs. I've been called a fake fan. I've been called many names, or you only like it because Megan Thee Stallion likes it, or you don't know any anime. It's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of us would passively watch stuff like DBZ, Pokemon, maybe Sailor Moon, but that's really it. A whole lot of us were looked at as weird. And definitely if you say you like to watch subs, oh, they would fry your ass like some fucking Popeye's chicken. And a lot of these black folks who used to shit on people who were like diehard anime fans back in the day, now they're talking about how they're fans of anime. So what you're saying isn't wholly without merit, but it's not an issue with anime fans or racism. It's not, oh, Negroes shouldn't like the Japanimation.
So if being a black fan of anime subjects you to this much racism, then why do we love it so much?
Because it's good. Next.
In a lot of anime that I'm familiar with, like there's usually some layer of prejudice against the hero. Like some people doubt them, some people think they can't achieve it, or just that they're hated. So Naruto, for example, he's treated poorly for a large part of his life, but he still rises to the occasion and perseveres to become Hokage one day. I think it resonates with me as a black woman because it is just something where like existing in itself can be a challenge. Existing in a world that does not want to accept us is challenging.
So you look at these anime with all these stories and you identify with them because you're a black woman and black woman equals struggle. So anime good. Oh my God. Now, I'm not saying that identifying with a character because you share struggles is a bad thing. I'm not saying that at all. One of the reasons why I really liked Spider-Man so much as a kid was because I was a nerd. I looked at Peter Parker, people picked on him, beat him up, they did terrible things to him, and I identified with that very much from a very young age. If you had a upbringing like Naruto, then that would perfectly make sense. But when you strip away everything that makes it personal and just make it about your superficial aspects of your identity, it actually is an insult to these characters.
It's a really interesting thing now that I think everybody is sort of kind of coming out and going, yeah, I've been a fan of this for years. If they're over the age of 35, they're going to remember getting bootleg VHS, or friends got them and dubbed them and passed them around. And that's why the black anime audience is older, people think, oh, now black people like it too. No, we've been here.
Well, that is actually a good point. I've loved Dragon Ball since I was 5 or 6 years old. Hell, I was watching Evangelion and trying to wrap my head around characters like Shinji and Asuka while my classmates were just starting to watch Gundam Wing. However, when you see nerddom in general as a white thing, that hurts you. And that is something that isn't just expressed by non-black people. That's expressed a lot by black people. I have heard black people say out of their mouth, anime is some white people shit. Yes, I do see the inherent irony in calling anime some white people shit. Black people aren't allowed to like anything other than BET, Martin, Living Single, Tyler Perry movies, and gospel music. Anything outside of that, that's some white people shit. So I wouldn't point the finger at racist white people. I'd point some of those fingers at our brothers and sisters. Sister. The next section of the video pretty much just shouts out black creators who have been either involved in the anime industry or in anime-inspired Western media like the Boondocks and the Avatar series. And that part I really don't have a huge problem with, so I'm really not going to talk about it in depth here. The full video is linked in the description. However, I do want to point out that one of the studios that they mention has diversity in its mission statement. And if that is not some peak 2010s shit, then I don't know what is. You shouldn't have to say, we're going to make shit diverse. Just put people in your story doing cool shit, having an impact to the story, and people will come to it. You don't have to go out of your way to say this is going to be diverse or make shit diverse. Just tell a good story and have multiple types of people be involved in it. Why is that in your mission statement? Oh my fucking God.
There's so many things that we've accepted for so long because we were just so happy to be included at all. We can ask for more.
Oh, I know you're going to ask for more. We know you're going to ask for more. Y'all are never pleased or satisfied with anything. You will cry all day long about wanting representation and diversity and inclusion, and then when you get it, you complain that it's not the right type. Even with newer things, you included the character Canary from Hunter x Hunter. Admittedly, I have not watched a lot of this show, but from everything I've seen that has Canary in it, she's a fucking beast of a character, and she's cute as hell. Why is she included in the thumbnail of a video that's talking about how anime gets black characters wrong? And I really don't see anyone making arguments against her. So why is she on this picture? And why are the only examples of well-done black anime characters ones who are actually drawn by black people to you all? It's almost like you think that the Japanese are incapable of doing black people good. That's a SJW staple right there. You think that people can't do a certain quote-unquote minority unless you are that minority.
We feel encouraged to make a space where fans like us can feel welcomed and no one feels excluded. It's really about a community and being able to enjoy it together.
The attitudes that have been portrayed in this video have been running rampant all across the span of nerddom. This is a bunch of woke normies who find a thing, they start to like it, but it doesn't fit their particular worldview, so they have to nitpick every little thing out of it and talk about how it's racist and how it's anti-black and da-da-da-da-da. And this isn't to shit on normies or people who casually like anime. This is a criticism to the hyper woke, hyper leftist people who want to call everything racist. They go into the fandom, they point out how everything is wrong, then they try to warp it and change it. And oftentimes in doing so, they destroy things that actually made the fandom or the franchise good. Thankfully, because anime is not a Western specific medium, they're having a much harder time sinking their claws into it. So when they get up here and start calling everything racist and sexist, a lot of them just flip the middle finger and keep on drawing their awesomeness because they just don't care. I'm going to close this out with an illustration that I believe was prophetic and a warning. There was this really old South Park episode that talked about taking Christmas out of Christmas stuff because everything was seen as offensive. So they were trying to do this little Christmas play, and one by one, all the elements of the Christmas play were removed because This group thought that was offensive. This group thought this thing was problematic. What was left was not only not Christmas related, it was so joyless, everyone hated it, including the people who were advocating for the changes in the first place. That episode came out in the 90s. It is 2020, and that is exactly what is happening to everything. It is up to the rest of us, from normies to lifelong nerds, to stand up to these asshats and tell them no. Because if we don't, then this is going to be the future of all of our culture. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Anime, and I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces.